Welcome everyone. First, let me introduce my couch.
I'm Skarsnikus. Aaron SOE today. No, yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah, I'm Kropan. I did the comment, or Vaan did the commentary for SMW, and he doesn't know about SMW. And now we do the same way. I commentary his run, and
yeah,
I do not know.
But we know nothing about the run.
Yeah, so
We
it's
have
going
to
to be
improvise.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And this is my good friend.
Yeah, Bernhard, hi.
All right. I would say we just start the run then. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi. So yeah, we have basically a platformer, so it's really common with SMW.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like SMW. I mean,
Yeah.
back in the day when the first Giana Sisters game came out, it was heavily criticized as being just a really poorly made Mario ripoff. And now, about 20 years later, we've got this beautiful looking game, which is definitely not related to any Mario game at all anymore, except that you jump and run.
It's most likely look like Bowser, maybe in his earlier years.
Yeah, so the basic story is basically that you and your sister Maria got sucked into a book, and this is basically the evil guy of the book, the Dragon Gurgawaki. And he just swallowed your sister Maria, so naturally what you're going to do is you try to save her by going as fast as possible through every stage of this game.
So basically you're running from left to right real fast.
Sometimes also from right to left.
Oh, that's game breaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
game breaking.
That's
Yeah.
new game design. New level of the game design.
It's like we have a crazy plan, we let a platformer going from right to left instead from left to right.
Okay, what the two sisters do, by the way? Maybe you can explain.
What
What the two sisters do differently?
Oh yeah, so every sister has a different ability. The punk one has a dash ability and the cute one has a twirl ability. The twirl ability is pretty much never used unless we have to do some very precise movement because it's slow. And the dash ability is used everywhere else in the run. And this is one of the, well, I would call it random things. Those little corridors. When they first released this game, the dash mechanic used to behave different, and it worked perfectly fine with those corridors, but for some reason in one of the later patches, they decided, we are not happy with the dash ability, let's tweak it a bit, and it just messed up those corridors. Fortunate enough, they only appear in the level 1-2 and 1-3, so this is the last level where we really need to worry about them and their wonky mechanics. Like right there, for example, we needed the twirl here to get over this little gap. But other than that, we want to charge as much as possible. Also, there are two glitches, one of which you just saw there, the infinite wall jump. It's mostly used to skip auto-scrollers, like you needed to ride platforms to get up there, but we just use the wall jump since it's slightly faster.
We need that for SMW.
We need in every game that has auto-scroller.
Yeah, autoscroller
Yeah.
are the bane of existence.
Well, technically there are no auto-scrollers, but I mean you're riding a platform, so it's technically an auto-scroller. Like the screen is not scrolling at a fixed speed, but yeah, it's technically verifying as an auto-scroller, I guess. Sometimes you also use it to just skip some parts of stages that we don't really like to do. So maybe I should clarify why we call this category New Game Plus rather than just any %. Well, technically if you play this game for the very first time, you see those little crystals all over the place that I sometimes just happen to pick up on the way while going through those stages. On average you would need to pick up like 50% of them in order to unlock the boss level of each world. On top of not dying too much in each stage, and because after each stage you get like a little rating based on how many crystals you picked up and how many times you died. And with that rating you get stars, and the stars unlock the boss levels. But since we really don't want to bother with just going around everywhere in the stages picking up crystals, we just decided that it would be more fun to just go as fast as possible through every stage, ignoring the crystals as much as possible, and that's why we call it New Game Plus now. Also, the normal difficulty is chosen because every higher difficulty means at any point if I would die, I would either have to reset the stage, or on the highest difficulty I would have to reset the game. So yeah, and that's not really marathon safe. Also, this is not marathon safe as well. Just dashing into that owl.
Yeah, the music is really great in this game.
Yeah, in my opinion, it is really great as well. And you're missing out that you didn't vote for the cute one, because in my opinion, the cute music is superior to the punk one. So right here we were supposed to do like a little block puzzle where there are those little boxes that we've seen at the beginning of the stage already, and we needed to push it around from left to right and then from right to left again and do all kinds of stuff with them, but we can just simply dash along the walls and get up there without their help.
What we maybe should point out is, like every platformer for every level have several different strategies. And I knew that Vaan knows all of those strategies, and he have a lot of really safe ones and a lot of really risky ones. And we should point also out that you are the current world record holder, and we
yeah, unfortunately I'm the world record holder, because pretty much no one runs this game besides me actively.
That's what I wanted to say. Give Vaan a lot of competition, please, because Vaan is somebody like he would never want to practice because he always say his runs are bad. And if he gets in competition, maybe he can force the game to an even better time.
Yeah, I would totally like to see someone bob me in this game and just conquer it. Like someone good at this game, finally. So 1-6 is actually the first boss stage of this game. And being the first boss stage is also the first really difficult stage of this game. So maybe to note that is that there is essentially no RNG in this run. Besides from one little exception, but I will go into detail when we are there. Which means that every time we enter a stage, every cycle, every enemy, everything is just at a fixed state. And if we execute the level properly every time, we will know what's going to happen. And with this stage being a boss stage, that also means we are going to know what the boss will do. And bosses in this game, they are not the greatest thing to do to fight, because they are all cycle based. But for whatever reason, there is like this random thing where we can get a double hit on this boss and just skip one of his cycles, but I really don't understand how it works or why it works, and it's just super random, like even though you do the same inputs every time and you get to the boss at the same time,
Sometimes magic.
Sometimes the double hit just does not work, and I just died there, so I screwed up.
You go too fast.
Yeah, I need to slow down, right? Because I need to slow down, I lost my shield, I have to wait here. Otherwise I could have damage boosted through that. So talking about the double hit on the boss, actually going for the double hit on the PC version of this game, which on the console version it works entirely different. And I'm playing on the PC version here. I actually need to die twice on the boss in order to set it up. I will go for it once, just to see if I can maybe get it, and it would save like 20 seconds. But going for it more than once would just lose way too much time, so I'm not going to bother with that. But other than that, we just use the infinite voltage to get out of bounds and just drop essentially out of bounds into the boss area, skipping the last part of the stage. So we not only skip auto-scrollers, but also some nasty parts of stages like this. So right here I died to respawn inside the boss area. And now I want to die at a very specific point and just hope that the double hit works. Like right as the boss spawns, there's a little chance... Okay, it didn't happen. Like right as he spawned, there was this chance that he would have gotten hit by the spike that is underneath this area. Which you can see there's the platform going left and right, and whenever I switch the world there's like a little crystal needle that comes out of it and hits the boss. And for whatever reason, when you die at a specific point and everything aligns, he just gets hit as he spawns.
Yeah, all boss in this game, you have to wait for something in the level to hit him. You never really interact with the boss directly.
And unfortunately the bosses are the worst part about this game, so we kind of try to shorten them as much as possible. Fortunate enough though, there are only 2 bosses we get to fight in this game. So it's not too bad. And as you see, it's not really difficult to fight them either. It's pretty straightforward. Just like that, we already beat World 1.
Really nice picture of the boss, actually.
Yeah, it just passed out. It's not dead. Don't worry about it.
It's all child safety.
So yeah, maybe something to talk about, which is very obvious in this stage. Depending on the world I'm on, some obstacles like those gates will open or close. So it may seem that I randomly switch around the worlds every now and then, but it's actually to just manipulate the rest of the stages to go in my favor. Sometimes manipulating some cycles of platforms that are coming up. So right here we would need it to ride this platform with the balloons on top of it all the way up here, but just doing the infinite wall jump is faster than riding a platform, so we do that. And with that we are already at the end of this stage. So maybe talking about the difficulty of this run in general. If you played this game casually, you may remember that it's maybe not the easiest platformer out there. In fact, the developers of this game actually noticed that they may have gone overboard at the end of their game in terms of difficulty, and there's also DLC for this game which we just call World 4, which I'm not going to run because I'm just running the base game. And they realized, well, we may have gone overboard with the difficulty of our game, so World 4 is significantly easier than the base game of this game.
And the last boss is really crazy.
Yeah, the last boss is the reason why they probably decided to make the DLC much easier than this one.
Yeah, most of the time Vance get a shield, he will use it to damage boost somewhere, to skip cycle.
Oh yeah, pretty much every shield I collect in this game, which the shields are those purple glowing orbs that you see all over the place. I pretty much always use them to do some kind of damage boost somewhere. Like some of them save maybe only a second or two, some of them are rather significant where they can save up to like 15 seconds. So now for stage 2-3, which 2-3 introduces a key block mechanic where if you collect 5 keys and run against the key block, it will open up the path, unless otherwise you will not be able to progress in the stage. And for whatever reason, the developers apparently really liked this gimmick and made this pretty much the longest stage outside of a boss stage. And this ghost is chasing me to get rid of it. Yeah, I really don't like this stage because it is not that fun to execute. There's pretty much nothing that can go wrong except what just happened.
That looks actually great, what you did there.
Well, I didn't actually do anything, it's just automated. You just hold down the button and the game does the thing for you. So whenever you run into one of those bumpers that you see in World 2 a lot, you just hold the dash button, and with holding down the dash button you can just go from bumper to bumper until you hit the end, like just right there. It's just holding down the dash button, nothing more to it. And maybe if we have some donations, this would be the perfect stage to read them.
Everybody is gone.
Yeah, I guess they're just leaving. The stage is too boring for them as well.
Yeah, it's not fair. We were all awake all the night and we do not have breakfast, and they probably get breakfast right now. But we can enjoy a good run. Is there actually an additional value for the jewels you're actually collecting after the first game?
What do you mean with that?
Like, can you spend the jewels for some additional content or
Oh,
stuff?
no. They're just big jewels which are worth 10, and if you collect them, you unlock artworks of the game, like the one that you see to the left there.
Ah, okay.
They're hidden all over the place. Some of them are rather obvious, like that one you just saw. Some of them are rather well hidden behind invisible walls, even. So yeah, this game has a lot of secrets everywhere. I just need to find them. And again, it's just me holding down the dash button here, nothing more to it. Even though it may look kind of crazy, it is really not.
I must say the game looks really, really well made, like the graphics and the 3D effect that you have in a 2D platformer is really, really amazing. It looks really smooth.
Yeah, I guess aside from them randomly changing the dash mechanic, which messes up the corridors in 2 of the stages, it is a really well made game. Like, everything in this game is just so well made. The music is great, the graphics are great, the levels are great. And that's why I'm speedrunning it.
Also, the main gimmick of the game is interesting. When you switch characters, the world around you change. So
Yeah, pretty much everything changes. Like, I can switch
it's
the
hard to
worlds
see
here.
because runs
And
go really fast, but if you take your time, it's interesting to see how this tree doesn't look the same, this enemy is cuter for the cute sister, stuff like that. It's really fun. Oh, the level is finished. Nice.
Yeah, finally. So this is the first stage where I would say it would have been definitely worth it to hear the cute music as well, because 2-4 has a really, really great song for the cute styled music. And yeah, you just saw a new enemy that got introduced in this stage. They're called the bunnies. And the bunnies are flat out the worst enemies in this game. Sometimes they just spawn off screen. And for some reason, they can kind of shoot an invisible kiss at you, which the kiss is their attack. And since you're punk Giana, you don't like kisses, so you die when they touch you. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Totally.
So yeah, and sometimes they just spawn off screen, shoot an invisible kiss at you, and you just die. Out of nowhere. Nothing you can do about it. That's why we love bunnies so much in this game. So maybe I should also talk about what controller I use. I used a regular SNES controller for this game, and this part right there was the only part where I have a disadvantage just using an SNES controller, because I kind of lack a right analog stick. And a right analog stick would have enabled me to move the camera upwards so I can see where that platform was. If it goes really bad, I just miss one cycle because I can't tell where the platform is, which loses like 5 seconds. But I really prefer playing on an SNES controller, so I take that 5-second time loss. And I also take this time loss here. Just walking into the frog, which, if I would have been in a different world, in the punk world, it would have been a bunny. So depending on the world, it's either a bunny or a frog.
Yes.
Don't really need this shield, but I kind of want it as a safety shield. Just in case I run into something. Also yeah, the way this game works when you're dying, there are checkpoints all over the place. Basically like every 10 to 15 seconds there's a checkpoint, like right up here for example. Or actually right up here. Oh yeah. Kind of forgot where this one was apparently. And because of the checkpoints being that frequent, I really don't care about what strats I do, because even if I would end up dying, it wastes maybe like 10 seconds at most. So I can just go all out with strats.
How many people finish the game in the harder difficulty, where you can afford to die?
I know I have done it. I've done it as a speedrun once for funsies, just to see if I can do it. And one of the earlier speedrunners of this game, which speedran the game like 4 years ago, called Omgarit, he also did it. He has his run uploaded to YouTube, but it was less of a speedrun but more of a challenge run, where he didn't go for all of the fastest strat, but just trying to finish it. I guess other than that, there are maybe like 3 or 4 other people that did it on YouTube, but they are not really into the speedrun community. So I guess it's not too many people that did that, but saying that, there are also not too many people that actually know and played this game. So as you can see, this is a perfect example. Basically, depending on the world I'm in, those blocks will go either clockwise or counterclockwise. Same goes for the spinning wheel there. Those platforms are actually... they have a kind of a special ability to them that you can only stand on them while being in cute Giana's world, and even then, they kind of have spikes on them, so you can only stand on them when the spikes are low. Which makes them pretty weird, pretty annoying to handle sometimes, depending on the cycle you're on. So in finishing this level, we are off to the second boss level of this game, 2-7, which is pretty much the midway point of this run if we are done with this. Maybe we can go for a donation here if we have some.
Yeah, actually we have some.
What are level?
We have $5 from Alex T. Fenris saying, "Hello everyone, it's always a pleasure to have a speedrun marathon livestream running in the background all day. Hope your runs all go well and may RNG be ever in your favor. Greetings from Leverkusen." Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your donation. So yeah, boss levels in this game are notorious for just being longer than regular levels, on top of having a boss fight at the very end, which makes them even longer. They're not necessarily more difficult than the previous stages of that world, but just very much longer. Like this one is, for example, roughly 3 minutes long, on top of a 2 minutes boss fight. Compared to the previous longest level was 2-3, which was exactly 3 minutes long. So right here I need to collect some keys again to open up a key block. Unfortunately we cannot do a wall jump here to skip over the wall, but we actually have to collect the keys and then swim under the wall here. So right here I hopefully will keep this shield, because it will save me like roughly 20 seconds if I can manage to keep it and do a damage boost. But those 3 bunnies here, they actually cooperated, that is nice. So I can just take damage here. Twirl over to this platform and skip like a part where I would need to twirl down. Twirling is just falling really slow with Q Giana's ability. And at the very bottom there was a pressure plate which you also activate with a twirl. It would raise the water level there in this section, and then you needed to swim up and be on the other side. So yeah, it's actually good that I got that one. It's quite easy to lose your shield here because of those 3 bunnies. And same goes for enemies as well. Like, you not only see them changing like the way they look like, but you also see them changing their paths they're going to take. Like, for example, those pufferfish dash jellyfish, they're either going counterclockwise or clockwise depending on the world I am in. Also, you may think, why am I waiting there? Why do I not just go for it and stand in between those guys? Well, where it is possible to stand in between those guys, it's actually pretty precise, and if you mess it up, you lose something like half a minute because you haven't grabbed the checkpoint in a while there. And walking in the water is really, really slow. So we are pretty much done with this stage already. Just over here is the door which leads to the second boss. Which may be talking about the differences between console and PC version of this game. For some reason in the console versions of this game, the developers decided to make the boss levels a separate stage, instead of just including them into the final stage of each world. So this boss is called Octafreud. He's a squid. He's pretty easy to dodge his attacks. And if you remember earlier, I told you that this game has one spot which is RNG, and it's this boss. Some of his attacks are shorter than others. And I really don't know which attacks are the shorter ones and which attacks are the longer ones, but I can tell you as much that after 3 cycles, the difference of maybe getting worst RNG compared to best RNG is less than 5 seconds. And that's the reason I really don't care about it too much.
Oh yeah, it's not that much. It's not crazy like 20 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, I mean this is a 49 minutes run for my PB, and it's maybe 5-second difference in terms of RNG, so it's not a lot at all. And that's something I really like about platformers, if they have as little RNG as possible. I really like seeing platformers that don't get destroyed by some stupid boss RNG at the end of the run, which this game totally doesn't have. So here, his attacks are always in kind of pattern. For example, here you see him attack with his 4 tentacles on the very right. So you know the next attack will be the 4 tentacles on the very left. It's pretty predictable and very easy to dodge. I still have my shield, so even if I would get hit, I would survive it. And with that, that's basically World 2 already. Just need to hit his tentacle the last time, and then we're off to World 3. Which the difficulty in World 3 actually ramps up quite a lot. Like the difference between the stages we've done so far and the next stage is quite significant.
You're so cheerful. That's so
Yeah, cute
nice.
Giana is quite cheerful. That's why she's cute and not punk Giana. Also, for whatever reason, those clouds just have a weird hitbox detection. Like, you can dash onto them, but they won't realize that you're actually on them, so you won't get your ability back to jump and to dash. So you kind of have to just let go of every button on your controller. Wait until you think the cloud realized you stood on it, and then you can continue with your inputs. Because otherwise you will just fall through the cloud if you keep on holding the directional button and maybe your dash button as well. And falling through the cloud usually leads into you dying.
This level looked nice, really.
I really like executing this level actually. It's a really fun one to do.
I really like low HNs. One is the lava and the other one is just nice crystal. Pretty nice.
So, you've seen in 1-6 where we went out of bounds using the infinite wall jump glitch to skip a little portion of a stage. Well, in this stage we are going to do a thing that is a little bit more crazy. We go in infinite wall jump here, twirl over to the left where we actually came from, but we managed to just dash along those platforms which have a hitbox detection, and I've actually failed this jump. Holy cow. That's the first time I failed this jump ever. And of course it has to happen today. But yeah, continuing the thought from before, we dash along on the out of bounds parts of the stage that are actually walkable on, just like this one. And then we fall down on the very left here, and now we are technically officially out of bounds. And the thing we do is we just keep on holding right. And at a very specific point, when you see on the right side there will be a little grass patch, which is my visual cue, That's the point where I know that I have to start my twirl. If I start it too late, I will actually fall into a pit that causes me to die. So I will start it rather early. The difference between starting it rather early and rather late is maybe half a second. But it is much safer to start it rather early, because if you're just 1 pixel too low, you will just die there. And right now we are at the end of the stage, so we skip pretty much the entire stage with this. And I'm very glad about this, because I really do not want to execute the stage.
As well did you find those?
I didn't find that.
Oh.
When I started running this game, it was already known. I am not sure who found it, so I can't give credit to that person. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, because it looks so random. So, oh yeah, let's get back at the beginning of the level. Oh, we can go over everything. What?
Yeah, there are actually 2 ways which you can use to get out of bounds, and I've used both to go out of bounds everywhere possible and just trying to find skips that we could possibly do. And I actually found one in the stage coming up, and I will point it out once we are there. But most of the strats that I use nowadays, which involve skipping some parts of a stage going out of bounds, were actually known before I started running this game even. Most of what I did was just optimizing movement, just managed to die less in runs, and basically find some new strats and techniques with the way you can dash. So even though this was World 3, this was actually the the third shortest stage in the run. Just next to 1-1 and 1-2. And even though I said there's only one part of RNG in this game, it's technically true, but technically not. You may have seen at the beginning of the stage there was this boulder that fell down from the ceiling, and depending on how long your loading is when you enter the stage, this boulder will be on a different spot. And, well, he kind of sets the pace for the rest of the stage, because if the boulder is falling right as you enter the stage, you will not be able to get a cycle that you kind of want to take. So you can call it RNG, but I wouldn't really call it RNG, because it's just the loading that messes it up. It's technically consistent if you had consistent loads, which for this game, consistent loads are rather a bad joke. When I started running this game, I actually had VSync turned on while running this game, and it led into me having like, I think it was roughly 3 minutes longer loading times over the course of the entire run compared to every other runner. I did not know why until I turned off VSync, and then I figured out, well, I just saved 3 minutes out of nowhere, congratulations. But still, even then, the loading times are super random still. Like, they're at least consistent in terms of being super short, but they are still inconsistent in terms of being precise to the frame. So 3-5 is the stage that I would say is the hardest one to execute in terms of tricks that I have to do in the stage. There is one skip I want to do at the beginning of the stage, which is not only difficult to do, but you only have one shot at it, so if you fail it, you can't go for it again. And the reason for that is, when I entered the stage, all of the owls that are in this corridor already spawned. So and I kind of need them to dash from owl to owl and skip the bubble generator at the beginning of the stage. Which I kind of got it there. I'm happy about that. If I would have died there, because sometimes the owls are too far away and you cannot dash from owl to owl, and I would have respawned at the very top again, the owls wouldn't have been in there and I would have needed to use the bubble generator, which using bubbles is something you want to avoid as much as possible, since moving inside bubbles is very slow compared to dashing. And this stage has a lot of bubble generators that we get to skip. Like, I already skipped, I think, 3 of them. I'm not too sure anymore, I haven't used them in a while. Here's another bubble generator, which is actually the hardest bubble generator skip in the game. Because it also depends on the cycle of the enemies and me not being stupid. I needed to land on that enemy and I kind of didn't land on him. But yeah, second try isn't too bad either. I actually got a good cycle there and I just messed it up. Sometimes what can happen is when you reach that part of the stage, the enemy that you need to bounce off of first will just not spawn because you're too close to the spawner when reaching that part, and then you just cannot perform the bubble skip. Because you need each and every enemy in that part to do it. SpeedCon is actually one of my... Well, I could say this is probably even my favorite stage. It's not too difficult to execute, it's rather laid back. But it feels really nice if you get it. If you get it correctly. If you execute it properly.
Do we have some time for donations?
Sure, go for it.
Alright. So the first one is from Evipen, who donates $25. The runner and crew should get some breakfast after the run. They absolutely deserve it. Just be sure not to add too much salt after the run. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your donation.
And then we have another $3 donation by Anonymous. And he's asking, what is everybody in the room's favorite game of all time?
That's a tough question.
Yeah, that's a difficult one, I would say.
That's a not easy one. I don't know.
How about we go about maybe top 5 favorite games? That's probably easier. I don't know really. Like the most favorite game.
I would say
It's quite difficult to say for me.
I would say my most favorite game of all time is still The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, just because it was the first big game I played on the SNES. And even after speedrunning it and getting all the salt into it, I still love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I love Link to the Past, but I think no, I will probably say like World of Warcraft because I really love the story and the world building in the game. I'm really fan of it. Even I don't really play a lot anymore. I really love the world. So yeah, probably speedrun wise, I will say Link to the Past because it's fun.
Yeah,
And a lot of fun things. But
I
if you speedrunning to get good time, it can be really frustrating.
I would also say like all the RPG games we have on the SNES, like Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore, Terranigma and such, they all created a lot of good memories in childhood, so those are probably the favorite games, and I couldn't even say which one of those games I do love the most, so it's really balanced and they're all really good.
And you speedrun?
I would say Super Metroid or Alundra maybe.
Yeah, good choice.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I guess if we go just by favorite game at the moment, I would probably say Alundra as well. I've invested a lot of time and effort into Alundra over the last like 2 years or so.
Yeah, it's a legit fun game to play.
Yeah, you have to imagine you can spend quite a lot of time while not only doing a speedrun of a game, but also to develop strategies, to find glitches and such. Like, someday you have an idea about your game, like what happens if I do this, or maybe do that attack, or do a cast, or try to put the maximum borders to its limits. And a lot of times it actually do not work, and then you probably forgot about your idea or such. And after weeks of not testing it, something happened and you noticed, oh, this was basically the thing I was wondering, and now you got it to work. And it's so exciting every time we find a new glitch or a new trick. We're so hyped about it and just want to somehow force it into the run. And a lot of times it's possible, but sometimes we realize, the trick, the glitch is good, but it's not worth it because maybe it's slower, maybe it's too risky. But it's always a great feeling to find something like that.
Or it's too hard, or it doesn't work every time, so it's not...
Yeah. Like, it's really annoying if you have a 4-hour run and you found a glitch that only works for, like, let me say 20% at the end. And you have to force yourself to do 4 hours runs, which probably reset by 80% at the time.
Also, thanks for asking this question during that stage, because it gave me time to really concentrate, because it was one of the more difficult ones to execute properly without dying. Talking about difficult stages, yeah, 3-8, just... I will not say anything about the stage, because it will not end really well, but let's say it's my least favorite stage in the game for a reason.
Should we count our least favorite games?
Well, at this point, I was several times on a really good pace in this game, and each and every time I just got blocked by the stage. At this point, it's more like a mental thing, where if I enter the stage at a good pace, I just fail it horribly and lose at least half a minute.
Oh yes, that's actually a really good thing to notice, maybe from a speedrunner to maybe other people who actually not speedrunning games. A lot of times you have very difficult tricks or even really easy tricks in the games, which at some days just don't want to work. And then it's something like, I want to do the run, I want to beat my personal best, and then it's like, oh, I have to do the trick, and you're completely down, like, you know you had a really good pace on the last time, you fail it, and then you're like, I don't even want to try it just because of the one trick. But on the other hand, if you kind of force yourself into practice a trick, to practice a glitch, to prepare yourself for that, to say, I can get better than this, then you actually somehow beat that trick, get a good time, get a PB, and that's honestly, as a speedrunner, the best feeling, even if you just PB by a few seconds. But you know you can do it better, and you also know you always can do it even better than before. And that's basically one of the big emotions the speedrunners, I think, continue doing all the hard grind. Like,
yeah, speedrunning is a love-hate relationship with the game, because sometimes you hate it because you know all the things that can go wrong at some point.
I mean, 10,000 resets and ever more for myself speaks for themselves.
This game is the worst.
Also, just pointing it out, this was essentially a perfect 3-8, so...
Yeah, it looks so fucking...
Of course, on the bad run, on a quote-unquote bad run, I get this, because I messed up quite a lot early on compared to my PB.
You have to imagine every time Vaan is saying nothing, he's probably fine with his run.
Yeah. Or when you say, oh, it doesn't...
So right here, it may seem a bit weird, like I'm doing a little dance right down there, but it's just to make sure to not run into those. Well, never mind. Like, I need to wait, essentially. Even though I fell down there, that's not considered a mistake, because I just need to wait less here. Because you just can't beat those skulls.
And you have to imagine, even that it looks really easy what Vaan is actually doing right now, it's a lot of practice, and every time a speedrunner seems to let the game looks easy, it's a lot of practice, a lot of time. And if you think it's easy, then you're probably watching a good speedrunner.
Yeah, it look easy, it's a good game, it's a good speedrun.
Yeah, and actually talking about that, this is actually the only game I really put in some effort in terms of I practice stages. Because I really care about this game and I really wanted to have a good time in this, which I'm still not satisfied with what I have.
Just so you guys know, this Vaan is always like, I do not practice, I just do the run, and then he immediately bobs like 20 people on the leaderboards.
Well, for this game I really practiced a lot though. I have like 250 hours in Steam, which is by far the most I've ever spent into any speedrun.
For example, Vaan is also doing speedruns of Alundra, and he was like, yeah, I put some time into it, and he's already at the second place. So that speaks for himself. Vaan is definitely a good speedrunner, He would never say that, but I believe that.
Yeah, I would never say that because it's not true.
Did you say that I lie?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, definitely.
No Kinder Schokobons for you.
Oh.
I already have them, I'm fine.
No. Oh, nice picture there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not
not so
nice.
nice.
Not so great.
Yeah, to notice actually that even though you would think that Punk Giana, you should see the more spooky pictures, and in cute Giana you would see more of the nice pictures. It's actually the other way around. And the reason for that is because Punk Giana just doesn't like cute things at all. So the game kind of wants to torture the sisters corresponding to what they hide, and since Punk Giana hates cute things, she gets all the cute things, and since cute Giana hates all the horrible things, she gets all the horrible things.
Yeah, I think some stuff are creepy for cute Giana, I don't remember. I remember seeing stuff that were like, what? Oh, nice. Nice damage boost.
Yeah, since I managed to keep a shield through a damage boost, like I got hit, picked up a shield and did another damage boost. I could do a damage boost at the very end here. Saves like 5 seconds or so.
You could call this something like a basic mechanic of speedruns. You try to abuse specific items. Like in this game we have a shield to actually damage boost through several different items, or if you compare it to SMW, just because it's a platformer, we also use power-ups to get damage boosts to be faster. And it's a really well calculated thing that we know how many upgrades we have and how many we can waste for damage boosts. And at sometimes we also have backups, but some tricks and glitches could not happen just because you miss the upgrade or you lose the upgrade before, or the shield for this game, for example. So we have to keep always track about our upgrades, which is a really important thing.
So yeah, but we are already in the final stage of this game, and the final stage is by far the longest one. Or I should say used to be by far the longest one, because
Yes.
as of now there is quite a huge skip that we can do. First of all, we'll do a little auto-scroller skip. You may notice that I'm going back through the stage from where I'm coming from, abusing the shield that I picked up earlier to do damage boost. Basically, I triggered the auto-scroller here, which drowns the acid in that section, and I just left this area. The acid is drowning still. I'm just doing some other stuff while that happens, and then come back later. And this auto-scroller would take like 1.5 minutes, and just going back through that area again, the way you came from, and going back there later,
I really
saves roughly
appreciate it.
30 seconds.
I really appreciated that you skip auto-scrollers.
No, yeah, no.
Yeah, I pretty much skip all of the auto-scrollers in this game.
That good. Yeah, you have to push some lever to unlock a door or something like that, I guess.
But right now we are collecting 4 keys to, well,
Oh,
actually
okay.
5 keys to open up a key block, which I've spent so much time just trying to find a way to get out of bounds in the stage and skip that key block, since it would save something like 5 minutes probably. And yeah, by now the acid is completely gone, and we can go back to this area and just pick up the key.
Just leaving salt from the runner.
But yeah, I really could not find a way to skip that key block. And that one day I was just laying in my bed, I was about to sleep already, and I was for some reason realizing like, hey, I always try to skip that key block, but I've never tried to see if I can maybe go out of bounds past this key block, and you will see what happened in about like 3 minutes from now on, if everything goes well. We already collected 2 of the
Don't say that.
5 keys, and I tend to say 4 keys because one of the keys is just right here. It's right next to the key block where you pass like 2 times, so just pick it up whenever. But there are 4 major sections which have keys, which I've already done 2, and this is the 3rd one. It's just a maze with the blocks where, depending on the world you're in, they will move in a different way. It's quite easy. There are a lot of ways to get through this, and I think the one I use is the fastest. I am not entirely sure though. I just hope it is. It felt the fastest when I did all of them. And off to the last section of this game. Maybe if we have one more donation we can squeeze that in.
We haven't got any new ones at the moment, but still the reminder that this is a charity event and we're collecting money for Save the Children. Also, I definitely recommend to check out the donation goals, which you can find out at speedrun.com.
Alright, so right now we have a shield active and we definitely want to keep that shield, and for whatever reason sometimes you just dash into an owl and lose it here in this section. Fortunate enough that did not happen right now, so we can do a damage boost at the end of the section, which saves roughly 15 to 20 seconds again. Yeah, unfortunately I could not skip this quote-unquote auto-scroller here. I'm just stuck between those two platforms. I'm sorry for that. So yeah, I just skipped through all of those firewalls.
Oh yeah,
with the
that's
shield
what
that
the
I had.
damage boost you're talking about.
But now having all of the 5 keys, I can finally unlock this key block and just continue on to the last part of the stage. Which, it's kind of a spike gauntlet where they really went ham and just put spikes on every wall, on every floor, everywhere basically.
Yeah, this looks crazy.
It's rather easy to do, and this is one of the few times where you actually need to use the twirl in order to even get through this alive.
Is that the next hallway?
I will pick up the shield just for safety. Since sometimes you can bonk your head there and then run into one of the spikes and it loses a lot of time, I would rather not want to do that.
Did you notice 3 parts where are not spikes on it?
Really? Never noticed that. So, now would be the time to talk about the final boss of this game. Well, there is none in the speedrun because we can skip it. After I realized that I've never tried to go out of bounds past this key block, it took me like 2 minutes to realize, hey, I can go out of bounds here, which walking into this, sometimes you die, sometimes you don't. It's actually random if you die or not. And then once you're out of bounds, you need to do some series of clips, which Giana does not want to clip right there. And we are out of bounds. Nice. So, yeah, going out of bounds here, actually we land on the top of the first phase of the final boss, which is him chasing us through the section with spikes at the bottom and owls everywhere. Dropping down here, we would drop down to the arena where we actually have to fight the boss, which is called Gurglewalkie, but we skipped that. Activating the checkpoint here just in case if we die here, but that didn't happen. And this is the third part of the fight. Just meteors falling down, and there he is. We just unfortunately skipped his fight. You see the health bar at the top. We don't bother about fighting him, we just dash into his mouth, and that's basically the run.
You have to press the button.
Oh, I have to press the button when the little loading sign is popping up at the bottom.
I said nothing.
Yeah, then that's the way we time this run. It's just been established over the years, and there we go.
Yeah, the final boss is like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's look for it, take forever.
It's like between 3.5 to 4.5 minutes, the final boss. It is way too hard for what it is, so even if you speedrun this game and you've done this boss a lot of times, it's super inconsistent because of the RNG that boss has. Sometimes it gives you impossible patterns and you will just die, and imagine losing a run at the very end because of RNG, which you cannot do anything about. Everyone was happy that we could skip this final boss. It's not really anticlimactic to the speedrun, but it rather makes it more interesting to run, in my opinion.
Yeah, the fight looks really intense.
And I'm really happy about my time. When I practiced for this game, my average was like a 51-ish time. So I'm slightly below my average, which is still perfectly fine since I'm well below estimate. And thank you everyone for watching. That was
Before you
the
go,
Giana Sisters Twisted Dreams. I hope you enjoyed it.
there's actually another interesting donation question, which I think was meant for you guys.
Oh,
Okay,
okay, go.
So $2 from Anonymous again, and this time he's asking, what was your most frustrating game to speedrun? Mine was Milo's Secret Castle on the
Paradigma.
NES.
I would say it's Secret of Evermore. I do love this game, but to getting a really good time, and which I want to try to get, it's really frustrating because the reset count is so high. It sometimes is like streaming half an hour and I'm like, nope, I want to quit.
What about you, Spirex? Is it maybe Battle Kid?
Probably Street Fighter 2010.
Oh really?
Yeah. A lot of annoying
All
stuff in
right,
the
I
game.
didn't expect that one.
Not even TMT4?
So yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. I hope you stick around because there's still plenty of runs to go.
Yeah, a lot of fun today. The next one is
Yes.
Titan Quest. I don't know the runner, but must be an interesting run.
Alright, thank you very much. That was Van with Giana Sister Twisted Dreams. And now coming up is Titan Quest by Mr. Tiger 92.